Mm.
Anyway, we're here to commentate on Market Garden.
Yes. Yes. Market garden.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah,
yes,
that thing.
and you will recall that we had gotten to Vigel.
Hmm.
We had weirdly enough got there without much fuel left with the King's Royal Hussars, and
Hmm.
decided to keep the road open and be very cautious in trying to do anything more than that while we kind of did a quick head count with everyone and said, are we going to be overtaken or are we going to try and smash through again? Um, and I mean, as it's already been given away on Carter's videos, which I don't know if you've had a chance to watch
I
yet.
haven't seen him.
You haven't
No, I
seen
haven't
them.
seen him.
You still haven't seen
No.
them. Okay,
Nope.
well, I'll play this video and then I will somewhere along the line tell you what we were up against, and then I want your honest
At what
opinion.
at what point um did you know that the uh what the provisionals were going to do, whether they were going to pass through you or come up
Oh,
behind you? At what point do
it
you know
might
that?
have been it might have been the previous turn to this,
The previous?
or
Okay.
it might be now. I mean, I think maybe we were
Mm.
talking about it overnight and kind of
Mhm.
I was certainly calling for it. I was saying, look, you know, all my guys are in the yellow or the orange. If you
Mhm.
want one more push from me, I need at least 12 hours to have a cup of tea, have some corned
Mhm.
beef, you know, and like all through the game, they like my morale didn't take a hit at all. So I was like, well, these guys, as any human being would,
Mhm.
on day 5, if they've been always hammering away, they're going to be fucking tired. But the thing is,
Mhm.
on my little sheet, it was always saying great spirits, great spirits. You know, okay, they were a little dented, and they're battle worn, but I was like, okay, well, we haven't suffered any major losses to get these guys down. We're succeeding.
Mhm.
Like, if, they just need some rest. Like, and that's
Mhm.
what I was kind of pushing for the last 12 to 24 hours, but until now. But yeah, I think it must have been maybe a turn before this that I was told that the provisional division were moving through. Because this is
Mhm.
like the turn up of like the 44 Scots, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll play it, and you can
Okay.
tell me what you think of Operation Market Garden with the IKS with me, Dave Pumphouse. Actually, yeah, I mean I must have known because they've already passed through and they're already attacking,
Mhm.
and we're already piling in Vigel. So yeah, it must have been 2 turns before this.
Okay.
I would have thought. Um, but yeah, why do you ask?
Oh, I was just curious because it indicates when now you're making a different set of decisions and calculations.
Hmm.
So, before you know that that's what they're going to do, you're thinking in terms of, I have to keep going forward, or I have to keep getting to the next step.
Yeah.
Or now it's like, oh, I'm transitioning to a different role.
Hmm.
So it gives context for the decisions that you're making.
Yeah. 121st. I haven't heard much from it. We presume it's around here because there's still apparently. I think I just imagined this imaginary division that was behind the provisional. I still don't know where I got it from, to be honest. I think someone must have put, because I think it was the provisional division that was actually the 21st. I think someone must
Hmm.
have typed 121st somewhere, and I was like, oh, there's another one behind it? Oh, yeah, okay, sure, no worries. Because back down on the border near Eindhoven, we were also building this fantastical, magical airfield that was going to be up and operational in like 2.5 days. So, and then I saw that Montgomery was saying that like troops are going to be landing in, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, we're forming another division, like just like that. And so yeah, someone wrote the 121st, and I just rolled with it. But there was nothing behind what we have now other than supply trucks, and what was So I literally just fantastically imagined that this extra division was coming up.
Well, if the Germans get a hold of your map, they'll think that there's more troops
Yeah,
coming.
yeah.
Great
That's a traffic
deception.
jam. So I'll stop it here and I'll explain one thing, because you haven't seen Carter's videos yet. So on this particular video, I was reckoning that there was a division that was asked to, plug this particular bit and just stop us, as best as they could. And then, with this SS division up here that was mechanized, you're kind of playing blocker and trying to run with the ball at the same time. You're trying to give the guy the stiff arm so you can move off. Yeah. So I thought there was only like maybe one division lurking around here, but on Carter's lovely video that he made, would you like to hazard a guess what's up the road ahead of us?
Is it more than one division?
It's more than one division. It's more than one corps.
Oh my god.
So yeah, they scrabbled together 4 divisions that were blocking the road here, and we're about to find out how hard of a nut to crack that was. And yeah, I mean, it was like a mix of, I guess, Volkstrom and bits and bobs that maybe had been cobbled together, and reinforcements that have, crossed the Rhine and everything. But yeah, apparently there was 2 corps sitting along here.
Oh my god.
Yeah, unbelievable. It's just unbelievable.
You might be lacking the combat power.
Perhaps I was. But I mean, we certainly didn't know at the time, and we were still trying to race to Grave and to Nijmegen. Do you think we make it?
I doubt it, but then I kind of doubted it when you were only up against one division. So 2 corps, that's a whole different question.
Yeah.
Now the beauty of it is, though, you would think that if they've got that much in front of you, the guy to your right should have an easier time.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And
you're the honeypot. He kind
yeah.
of becomes the arm of decision here.
Precisely. That's precisely what happens. And when I mentioned my little addendum in the video, that's precisely what happens. And I was just like, yeah. So after this, I knew it was pretty much game over. Like, whatever was in front of me, I was going to have fun with from now on. I think we're in good stead to go forward. We've had our difficulty this game, but there's still all to play for. So this one is going to be called Grave or the Grave, Grave or Bust. And then if it goes really well, maybe we'll call it Gasoline and Gumption, because we've made a report to Montgomery and the gang that we're still in good shape. We've still got our spirits. Sure, we've seen action pretty much non-stop since we left the border, but we're in generally good shape thanks to the reinforcements that we've had, and we're rolling. We're on the move again, hopefully, as we look to punch through at Bukola Could this be one for the ages, where the King's Royal Hussars punch through at a little corner pub of Buchala as what we understand might be like Volkssturm kind of units, garrison troops. So they're not the best, and they've had a hammer in from the Scots. So here we go. Wish us luck.
Meanwhile, at 43.
So you already know this scene where they're building the bridge. So he spent the last like 24 hours building this Bailey Bridge across the canal, and this is what happens. It looked positive from that view, but it wasn't so great on the next one, and the next one's only 8 minutes because it's just like oh dear, what's happened. But
I love your sunny optimism, though.
Yeah. So yeah, this is 10 a.m. on what will be the 5th day. So I've called it Battle at Buchala Corner because I was romanticising it all now. I was just like, yeah, you know, there's going to be a nice little Dutch pub at this little weird hamlet, you know, right on the corner there, and that's where our tanks will break through, and you know, and the Scots are going to fan out and protect our flanks and everything. Everything's going to be hunky-dory. But here we go. We halted just outside local, whereas we have in 6 hours made 2 kilometers. We thought we... Yeah, I wasn't impressed with that one either. I was just like, yeah, let's just, you know, launch an attack up the road, and yeah.
In 6 hours, we've made 2 kilometers.
Yeah, it sucked.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean, if the two groups could link up, you know, you'd be in great shape. But
yeah, so you know,
oh man.
But you know, we were still having fun with it because we were just like, look, yeah, we've reached Nijmegen by now. Let's just hammer it. You know, let's just keep hammering it and just see how many tanks that at the end of the day we can, you know, shift up to Nijmegen, right? I was like, there's nothing left of them, and I was still thinking these guys are Volkssturm units because I read it on the report. Like I was just like, oh, they must be Volkssturm units. They can't be that great. Like,
why are they holding up an entire division of? How come my tanks can't get through these Volkssturm guys?
Exactly. That really upset me actually. I was like, I spent because when I found those guys, they were immediately transferred to my command, right? So I was like, well, they've done their job. They don't need to. They don't need to do much else, you know. So I kept them there, and then command took them over because they were like, okay, you know, Pumphouse isn't using them, we'll take them, and then they had to sweep that forest, and then by the end of the game, they were all in the reds, you know, 60% casualties, and I was like, well, I tried to keep those guys alive. I was a little bit upset at the, you know, throwing away those pieces. Where it was reported that it was the 80th, maybe they meant the 86th. I don't know. See, I'm just not picking up the fucking clues, am I?
You're part of this whole core. I wonder where the rest of it is.
Yeah, I'm terrible. I just, yeah. But that's how it's looking. And our target is Arnhem. We're getting close. That
Hmm.
was actually. Okay, oh, you were going to say something there. What?
I was going to ask you how much, at that point, how much coordination have you got with the 43rd on your right?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to him that if he wanted to continue his attack on Uden, I would support it still from my position, as was the provisional brigade. I think that maybe that turn they had to rest and resupply a little bit. I pushed on, but we were very much in tandem because again we shared the channel, but we didn't appreciate fully, I don't think, what was ahead of us because you know maybe we weren't asking the right questions. I certainly wasn't. I just took the reports as they were written, and me
Mhm.
being me, I don't really particularly want to bug the umpire too much with extra questions
Mhm.
because if he wanted me to know things, he'd tell me. Um,
Were were you- were you able to share your reports with the 43rd and them with
yeah,
you?
yeah. I
So that
mean,
were you
every
seeing
every turn. What?
so
Mm.
were they getting something that were they seeing something you weren't seeing and you were seeing something they weren't seeing, or were you both seeing
We
the
was
same
all
thing?
seeing the same things on the front line type of thing. So if I, yeah. So this is what I was seeing,
Hmm.
and with all the other pieces in and around here, they were seeing exactly the same thing. You know, so the Scots, as you can see, maybe a little bit. We were around this place of Bucalar, and they'd stop to rest and resupply and what have you. But they would have, they're seeing this exactly the same thing as I am, but
Hmm.
without any further information of people, swapping out troops and observations and stuff like that. I was still of the opinion and still surprised because me being me, I was just like, well, these guys have been fighting for the last 2-3 days, like in Vigel, trying to capture it.
Hmm.
Why are they not breaking already? Like, why? Because we just got to punch them one more time, and then they'll break, and then we'll be
Hmm.
through. And okay, maybe they rolled lucky. Whatever. We got
Hmm.
to do it again because we were seriously just not aware that so many troops were still up
Hmm.
against, blocking our path.
Well, it's interesting too that I mean, just looking at those two screenshots,
Yeah,
there's I mean, looking at those two screenshots, where's the enemy?
yeah. I mean, just on the edge in the white. That's all you can see. That's all you know.
Yeah, but that's uh,
Yeah,
that's
it was
something
tough. It was.
that's something that's I think is that's a problem
Mm,
because any of your units I mean all of your information, the screenshot, and this is World War II. The
yeah.
screenshot you're getting isn't what you can see. It's what's collated as the reports from all of
Mm,
your units.
mm,
It's what you would be looking at on the map in your headquarters.
yeah.
Okay, that's what your screenshot should be, which is a collation of all of the reports from all of your units.
Mm,
So any unit you have out there that has contact with the enemy
mm.
should be that would be on your map. Okay,
Sure.
that X unit is in contact with an enemy force here.
Mm,
So on your map, you would be seeing that enemy force and your unit, you know.
yeah.
But as I look at these screenshots, the only thing you're seeing are your own guys.
Sure. I mean, I
You know?
hadn't taken that into account, and until you're stating the blindly obvious, but that was probably why the decisions I certainly made were. I mean, obviously there's no contact there, but in a previous turn, exactly the same position. You know, again, I was kind of making rough estimates on my videos what might be there.
Right.
And that's why I kind of kept it at division level as rough guesses. And if if you kind of look on my screen here, there might be an SS symbol there, and I was like, okay, there must be an SS division or an SS brigade somewhere nearby. Like, it was very,
and yet somehow you didn't make that next leap of, hey, these guys belong to a certain corps.
Well,
wonder where the rest of that corps is.
Yeah, precisely. So,
but I think that's why I asked about the sharing of reports between 43rd and yourself, because if that's what you're getting, where you're getting the collation of all of the reports, the status reports from all of your units, and any of them that are in contact, that's going to be on your divisional map. And then you're looking at 43rd's collation as well. You're going to, it'll be the units that their guys are in contact with. Your picture of that would probably show, because if you put those two together, and
that might have been. I mean, evidently that is part of the problem, that we never really truly knew what units we were up against, unless we said, "Hey, what units have we captured?"
And who are these guys?
I know Otto, was just like, "Hey, umpire, what units have I captured? What?" I never really asked that. I was just a a ball to a red flag type of person. Just where's the enemy? Just let me just attack them straight on type of bollocks. But I mean it's part of the problem of not really knowing who's up against you and what have you. And I mean, with that screenshot, we got this is our report. In no way, shape or form is it telling us who.
Right, and all of that would come in your intelligence briefing from the divisional staff. And so, when those reports are being made, basically, what's happening realistically is you're in your talk, you're in your divisional headquarters. They've got the map laid out. They've got the the overlay, and they've got they've drawn in the different units that we know these are the reports we've gotten from all of our units, and this is who's in contact, and this is where they're in contact, and this is what we know is in that area. And then of course there's the intelligence, the intelligence collation from your the staff officer who's saying, we've identified this as such and such a unit. We've identified this one. We've identified this one. This one we don't know. This one we don't know.
I agree. Yeah,
that kind of thing. And then you would be looking at a picture that would be a little different. I mean, they're going to be pieces of the puzzle. And then, of course, if you're sharing information with the 43rd, your staff is sharing that information, your information with them, and they're sharing it with you. And then when you put those together on the map, you're going to have a much better picture of just exactly what it is you're actually facing. I mean, you won't know what's back behind the lines. But at least what's in front of you.
So this is what coincidentally this must be the same area. This is what 43rd Commander saw.
Yeah. Now how are you supposed to make a decision based on that? I mean, honestly,
now you're saying it.
yeah, how are you supposed to make a decision based on that? It's like, okay, I kind of sort of see there might be an enemy unit off there to the
Yeah.
northwest, so I guess we go that way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's as in-depth a decision as you can make off of that. If a staff officer in anybody's army gave you that,
Mm.
you'd fire them on the spot. Okay, I mean,
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
how there's no way you could make any kind of orders or
Mm.
decision based on that view of the situation. And if that's the best you've got at that moment for whatever reason,
So.
then it's time to find out more.
Mm.
It's time to find out what's out there. Okay, let's push some patrols out there
Yeah.
and capture some people and find out who's out there
Mm.
and how many of them are out there and where the hell they are.
Sure.
You know, I
You're not
mean, we
wrong.
got to have more information than that. Let's do that. Now it's time to order some, use some recon assets. Let's get some, an airplane to fly over and take some pictures.
Mm.
Let's get some patrols out over the next 2 hours and see if we can capture some prisoners. Let's get some information, from what's in front of us. These are the kinds of things that would be going on, that your intelligence staff officer would be doing organically. You wouldn't have to order any of that. They'd just be doing it, and because I mean, obviously, if they pulled in all the reports they're getting and all the information, and then they're drawing it out on the map, and that was the best they could come up with for the staff briefing, they know they're going to get fired if they show you that. So it's like, okay, yeah, we got to get more information than this. Let's do this, and this.
Which probably just goes to show, to play, fair and devil's advocate just a little bit. Which probably goes to show just how much effort is required to run these types of games. Because yes. You'd love to give, 2 paragraphs for every battalion out there, type of thing.
Sure.
But when it's only 1 or 2, 3 guys that are not, maybe not adept themselves that are doing that, it can be hard. So yeah.
Well,
yeah,
then I think the only way you can do that then is you got to do it with the screenshot.
Yeah.
A fair screenshot.
A fair screenshot that doesn't.
Well, just a proper one.
Yeah.
A proper one. I mean, it's like, okay, I don't want to type out 6 paragraphs telling you what every unit that you have that's in contact with the enemy is seeing. So I'm going to show it to you with one picture.
Yeah.
Because I think the problem is the starting point, the mindset. Okay, of when there's a tendency. This is World War II, but they're giving you Napoleonic screenshots.
Sure.
Okay, because they're giving you screenshots that show you, hey, this is what you personally can see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is World War II, man. What you personally can see is the inside of your staff room.
Yeah.
Okay. You're not out there looking at all that stuff. You have other people that do that. You have radios and all kinds of things. And this isn't a Napoleonic staff. These are, the whole idea is that they're going to give you, as the commander, the division commander should be getting a what would be standard in a divisional briefing, and his staff is presenting to him, this is what we know and this is what we were in contact with, and these are our situations, and then each one can run that down. But some of that would have to be in a report. I mean, you're getting it like what's the supply status of your various units and that kind of thing. So you're getting those parts of the staff are operating. What's not operating here is the intelligence part of your staff, and that should be, that should be standard. If you're going to do any kind of modern conflict, that has to be standard. Don't give me a screenshot that shows me what Dave Pumphouse can see, because Dave Pumphouse can't see a damn thing. Okay, you know, I mean, if he has to command a Second World War armored division based on what he can see from where he's standing, it's an impossible task.
Well,
You know,
I mean, I tell you, yeah, on this, because that was the penultimate video. So this is going to be the last one in the series, and this one was probably uh, the one of the worst screenshots that I got, because it shrunk, because as I was moving up to the front, I was in my Jeep, so therefore
right?
I could not see a thing.
Well, exactly. There's the problem. All I'm showing you is what Dave Pumphouse can see out the window of his Jeep. You know, it's like, oh, and by the way, you have to give orders for your entire division based
Sure.
on that. And your division is scattered over, I don't know, what, 10, 15 miles of territory or
Yeah,
more. You
yeah,
know, how are you supposed to do that? You can't do that.
but
And you can't do it properly.
no,
I mean,
perhaps
you
not.
could do it. I mean, you can give a bunch
But
of
yeah,
guess orders. You know, oh well,
and
when I know we're going this direction, so let's just keep going that direction.
sure,
But you can't give, you can't give correct orders that a divisional commander in the Second World War could give.
no,
All right. Now
perhaps
that
not.
doesn't mean even with your even with the a proper staff briefing, in other words, a screenshot that would show you what your staff would have collated for you at the staff briefing. That doesn't mean that your decisions are going to be correct. It doesn't mean all their information is going to be correct. They don't know, like, for example, what's behind the unit that your unit's in contact with. Um, you know, 2 miles back behind that line, there could be 3 enemy divisions waiting for you. And you wouldn't necessarily know that because, unless you've got deeper recon assets like air flyovers, fly over, taking pictures, that kind of thing, or another unit is in that area and their reports are showing those guys, then you might get some clue that there's something else over there. But you at least at minimum are getting the information that your forward units are passing back. And that, I mean, that has to be there or you can't really make good decisions. I have been seeing this entire battle the way you were seeing it.
Yes.
At the time.
Yes.
And I actually preferred doing it that way rather than watching Carter's and seeing what was actually out there.
Sure.
I actually preferred seeing it the way you saw it. And I would say at least 75% of the decisions that you made based on what you knew was out there or what you believed to be out there based on the evidence that you had were good choices. You made really good choices most of the time. I mean, at least 3/4 of the time. Not that I was marking it down as to how many you made right and how many.
I gave myself about a D for effectiveness, but yeah.
I would say you got, I would say a B.
All right, I'll take that.
I would have given you a B, maybe a B minus. The only real knock would have been I think that you spread out your combat power too early and should have kept it together longer. But other than that, I mean, that would have been the biggest knock I would have had. Other than that, I don't really see that you did that much that was wrong based on what you were trying to accomplish and what you knew or thought you knew of the situation that you were facing.
Nice.
And now, I do think that you were not given the kind of information you should have been given. Now, I would like to have seen what kind of choices what kind of decisions you would have made based on better staff work in this case. And it would have been interesting. I think really something, if they run this kind of thing in the future, I would really love to see them do, because I think it would just really, fill it out.
Well, that
And
requires
I don't
more
wanna-
umpires. So this is perfect.
yeah,
this is a
it does.
perfect advert for people who want to umpire certain different things.
Right. And I don't want to sound like I'm knocking on the game itself. The game itself was obviously really good,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they did a fantastic job putting this thing together. It's a massive enterprise, and trying to handle all of that, you can't complain about that at all.
No.
That's
Oh, you still there?
and ultimately that's what we're all looking for anyway, right?
Yeah.
Now, what I'm suggesting is, for future reference, I think it would enhance it that much more if they can do it that way. And I mean, and I think what I'm, at least in my own head, what I'm suggesting, what I'm saying, isn't that much more of an extra burden on the umpires as I see it. It's not typing up a lot of stuff for the reports. It's just thinking that. Remember, I was talking about the starting point, the mentality. You can't give Napoleonic screenshots to a division commander in World War II. Okay, what I'm talking about is you got to have a different mindset. The umpire creating that screenshot should have the mindset that he is the staff of that division, the staff of that corps, and the staff of that army. Okay, so in that case, he's not just giving, he's giving a report, he's giving a screenshot, sorry, not a report, but he's giving a screenshot that's going to show you everything your division is in contact with, everything your division can see. And then to the corps commander, he's showing the corps commander everything that the corps divisions are seeing. So he's getting a bigger picture. And then the army commander is getting everything that his elements are in contact with on a much bigger picture. So that Montgomery is looking at the entire battle area and all the collated reports from every staff, from every divisional staff.
Sure.
Okay. So he's seeing that entire thing. But, that sounds like, oh, you're adding all these layers. But in fact, you're just doing a bigger screenshot. Okay. All you're doing is taking a screenshot that shows all the units that are in contact there. And then on the next level, all the units that belong to that army that are in contact, and so on up the chain.
Yeah.
And if you do that, I think it enhances the entire thing, because it's doing the work of Montgomery's staff, of your staff, and all the staffs in between, and allowing those commanders to act in the role that the commander of that division, of that corps, of that army would actually be doing. Because they're a division commander, a corps commander, he's not he's not doing the minutia stuff. That's what the staff is for. Okay, so present him with the problem that a division commander actually faces, that a corps commander actually faces, and so on up the chain, and let them deal with it on that level. And I think that's a far more interesting challenge, And
I completely agree.
also,
I completely agree with you, no doubt. I mean,
and also less frustrating.
Yes.
Because you're not saying, all I can see is what's outside the window of my Jeep, and I've got to make a decision into the dark. Well, you're always making decisions into the dark, even with all that other information. Because your information's never complete and it's never perfect. But you're at least making those decisions, based on something. And not, let's go that way because that's where we're supposed to go.
Sure.
Well, anyway, that's my there's my take on it
we
anyway.
could have made coffee, kegs, and Kriegspiel episode out of that one. This one's a.
You're probably right.
Um, um,
I do think that there's a problem with that in general, and it's very understandable. It's completely understandable because the guys who are doing it have to be thinking that way.
Yeah.
And that's not normal, and it's certainly not normal for people who don't have experience with doing staff work or something like that. So it makes sense. But we do tend in Kriegspiel to default to Napoleonic.
Yes.
Regardless of era, regardless of circumstance, we tend to default to the Napoleonic standard. And, because it makes sense. That's what most Kriegspiel was and often still is. And it's what most people think of when they're doing these things. So there is that standard, and so we think of it as like a Napoleonic battlefield. Oh, well, there's smoke and stuff, so you don't see these things. This is World War II, man.
Yeah,
the smoke is not the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, we have airplanes. We have radios.
Yeah.
We have we don't actually assault a position without sending recon patrols.
Do we not?
Prior to doing so.
Oh, I'm sorry, Achilles. You might be in the wrong video for that one.
I mean, just that. For example, if you order in this game, you order such and such a unit to attack a particular location. Okay,
sure.
What's actually happening on the ground when that order arrives? That brigade commander, or that regimental commander, or that battalion commander receives that order, saying, okay, I need you to assault this position, or I need you to take this objective. Okay. And, what is it that he does in that process at that moment? Well, he's going to have, his own staff on down to battalion level at minimum. He's going to have his own staff, and they're going to give him all the information that they have on the objective, what the plan is. They're going to come up with a plan based on his criteria. So he's the battalion commander. He's going to say, this is the objective. This is when we have to attack it.
Yeah.
This is the context. We've got this going on to our right, this going on to our left. These are the assets that we're being given in support in addition to what we already have. And I need you guys, he tells his chief of staff, I need you guys to give me a plan for this assault. And then they'll create a plan based on that, and then they present it to him. And then he says, okay, yeah, I want this, this is good. Sign off on that. Or I want you to change this little bit or that little bit or whatever it is. And then as part of that process, they're going to collate all the intelligence they have on the objective. And they're also going to send out, small patrols for reconnaissance, or try to get other kinds of assets to get some kind of eyes on the target, so that they can see what is it we're actually facing and what do we think is out there, and where on their level they're going to be saying, where do we think they're going to hide their AT guns, where their machine gun's going to be, that kind of thing. And then they come up with their plan, presented to the battalion commander, and then he okays it and they go. All of that is happening, just when you give that order, when you say to regiment such and such, attack this direction. Okay. All of those things are going to happen on their level, at the regimental level, on the battalion level, all the way down to the company and platoon. They're going to be going over the plan for that attack. Okay. Nobody just marches in because, we got this order to attack, so let's all get up and move towards that position until we get shot. That's not what happens. Okay. Now, in a Napoleonic sense, it may be what happens. The corps commander says, "Hey, Mortier, I need you to take that village over there."
Sure.
So he grabs his division and he marches on the village, right?
Yeah.
But when you get into more modern
Of
combat,
course.
that's
Of
not
course.
what happens.
Yeah.
And so, just the same on that level is the same all the way up the chain. So that's what's happening when these things go on. So, like, you as a division commander, you order your regiment to take an objective, to attack a particular place, take that objective. You're not going to go down there and say, "Oh, by the way, you should send out a couple of squads on reconnaissance patrol about an hour in advance.
Sure.
We should do some sporadic
I
mortar
guarantee you, I did
fire."
not go down to that level of minutia. I was just like,
Right.
I want to go to this town.
Right.
Let's just take that town. I want this done by that time. We're going to call in air support to do it. Blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, I mean, at your level, you're not having to do any of those things, but all of those things have to be done.
Yeah.
And the results of those things being done will be fed back to you. Okay, because that's what you're going to get in your staff briefing. If they're sending out a squad to do a patrol. You can see it. I think there's an episode of Band of Brothers where they go out to capture prisoners.
Yeah.
Because they're going to try to assault this German town. And so they're supposed to go out and grab some prisoners. That kind of thing. That kind of stuff was going on all the time. That's the friction between the lines. Where you have enemy units that are close, opposing units that are close to each other. They're constantly sending out patrols between each other that are running into each other in between the two forces.
Yeah.
That's when you play war games and you're playing on a hex encounter thing, when they talk about SOC, zone of control.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what zone of control is. It's because wherever your unit is sitting, that's not, that's the center point. They're actually further out than that, and your reach is further out than that. And so's the other guys. So the two forces, just by being in this vicinity of each other, are continuously attriting each other. Because there's that continuous patrol and counter patrol friction that's going on between those two spaces all the time.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me that. I mean, like I have heard a lot about this from even my granddad in the Korean War, and some of his buddies, and the patrols that used to go out in the Korean hills and between the trenches and up into no man's land and then back again. As you say, yeah.
And so if all of that's going on, how come when you get a screenshot, all you see is the back of your own guys?
Well,
because your guys are out there running into the enemy patrols.
I'm on your side. I'm on your side, and that's what I am imagining too. But I just in some of these reports, Achilles, I fill in the gaps.
So yeah, again, I don't. I'm not complaining about they set up a beautiful game. They ran it very well, and it's a huge undertaking. And I'd love to see more of these things. I mean, I think they're fantastic.
Yeah, they are. Genuinely.
This was a great experience. But every time we run any game, we should be learning to do it better.
Yeah.
No matter how successful or unsuccessful any game that is run is, it should always be a learning experience as to how can we make this a little better?
Yeah.
How can we improve this?
Yeah.
And those are ways I think that we could improve it, that would enhance the experience.
Yeah. No doubt.
All right. Enough of my ranting.
Of course. I mean, that was a good 20 minutes.
I do apologize.
But yeah, this is the last video, and there's some nice shockers in here. Yeah, this is probably the best one to make, because at this time I was like, it's game over. Yeah, we've pretty much reached Nijmegen. Yeah, we are a little bit beat up, but it was clear that from this point on it was open road, because the Germans chucked so much at us. So whilst we had that little dip around Vogel, and were we ever going to do anything close to what they did historically? This is the end result, as it were. So I shall play it, and there is several points which we must stop and talk about, because in these types of games where it's dragged on, yeah, it went on from January till, I want to say, shut in like July, maybe something like that. Yeah, so it was a long ass game, and I was like, next turn it's going to end. Next turn it's going to end. We're in Nijmegen now. It's ended. Like you know, there's nothing in our way. But this was the final turn, and then they said something unexpected, and then hinted that's why it stopped, and I kind of took it as what I did, but it might have been something else actually. But I still had fun at the end, which you'll see. So yeah, this is a bit more detailed now, because me and 43rd are now saying, well, Uden has to be cracked. Yeah, there's a lot of forces here. We need to somehow properly, like, yeah, plan the attack. And welcome back to me. Yeah, so I think what happened was that one of the videos got corrupted, and there was a battalion holding out at this particular copse kind of woods at this intersection, and I had these poor Irish guards that were shoved into the front of the line because they were just next. And just next into the meat grinder, and even though they're in the yellow, they actually were very low on ammunition. So I basically ordered the Irish Guards to do like a battalion bayonet charge into woods. Because I wanted it to end, Achilles. I just wanted it to end.
At that point, it would have ended, because they would have had you arrested, relieved of command.
Yes. So, yeah. So this is me just explaining what happened. We kind of told a little bit of a porky to high command, in that we felt very confident that we could take the woods. In my mind, I thought it would have been glorious. because Achilles, they've been fighting for days now. Like the enemy, I was like, they can't be still of any kind of use to anyone. Like, you know, we've been on rotation. These are troops that haven't fought for nearly 2 days now. They're fresh as they're going to get, against what I thought was stuff that was kaput. It had broken me by this point. I was like, I can't even shift the line just by pushing men forward into a meat grinder. I couldn't do it. Oh no! Oh Jesus! It's terrible of me to laugh about it, but I was just like, thank God! Like, you know, I had to chuck a complete bloody brigade in the dark into woods to get this fucking place moving. It's insane.
Well, you have the consolation of going down in history as the man who destroyed one of the most famous units in the British Army.
Precisely. You know, never take up a good opportunity to slaughter a few Irishmen. Like, you know. my division's wrecked. Like, in other words. Coldstream Guards and the Welsh Guards are going to have to be guarding the eastern approaches to Uden. And we're going to try and have to, well, as the game kind of goes into a narrative format after it's been called, going to have to try and coordinate with whatever is over here with the 43rd to try and crush this Grenadier division. I thought it was the 7th Fallschirmjäger. Maybe it's a mixed division. Don't know. We'll find out soon enough. Yeah. So, what do you think?
I wonder if if coordination between you and the 43rd could have gotten both of you moving better, working together. Because he was, we had that. You had that situation earlier where it was like you were. All those German units were coalescing around stopping you, and it opened up the ground for the 43rd to make that big move around. And it almost looked like on your map, and again, we're having to go by, what you think is going on out there, but a coordinated effort there that might have linked you two up in that area. That could have been effective. That could have been very effective. The 50th Division's thing over there, that was kind of messy.
Yeah.
It did seem like there was even though you guys were sharing information, there seemed to be at some level a lack of coordination that probably would have helped a lot. But like I said before, I didn't see much that you did wrong. I thought most of your decisions had good rationale behind them. I mean, you're never you can never be right, or it's never completely right or wrong. I mean, in that sense, because you never have perfect information. You have to go off of what you have. But your decisions most of the time were completely rational or justifiable.
Good.
I think there were, as I said before, the chief thing I would have dinged you for was simply the diversification, or dispersion. Dispersion.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Dispersing. That's the word I was like. For some reason, I could not think of that word. The dispersing of your combat power, I thought, too early. And but other than that, I thought most of your decisions were pretty rational, good decisions based on what you thought was happening. You could go A or you could go B. You chose A, but there was just as much legitimate argument for doing A as opposed to B in those cases. Not knowing what you were going to face the next time out. So, I think you were being harsh on yourself, Dave. I would have given you a much better grade than that. Now, the bottom line is, do you achieve the objectives in the time set out?
No.
No. So, was the operation a failure? Yes. But that doesn't mean that the decisions you made during the course of it were poor ones.
Fair.
It's like, I don't know, if you're the let's say if you're a wide receiver on the football team and the football team loses, is it your fault? Well, you caught 3 of the 4 passes they threw you.
That's not a bad average.
Game.
Yeah,
it's a team game. If you had caught that 4th one, would it have changed the game?
Sure.
Maybe not. But no game is ever lost on a single play.
Sure.
Despite the fact that the common view of things is, we lost the game because we missed that last field goal. Well, no. you lost the game 100 times over when so and so missed his block,
Yeah.
or such and such missed a tackle,
Mm.
or somebody didn't cover the guy they were supposed to cover on a particular play.
Indeed. Yeah.
All those things combine together to make the end result.
Mm.
It's never decided on a single play.
No, I mean,
But it
I knew
feels
that.
like it is.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and you take responsibility for your little section.
Your part.
Yeah, and
Right.
when you really want to kind of say, I've broken through that first defensive line, and
Mhm.
I'm not meeting a second defensive line where I think it is. Oh, there's the second defensive line. Oh yeah, we'll smash through them. There's no way they're going to get a third defensive line. Oh, there's the third. Like and then by that time you're just like, what the hell is up against me? And like, I mean, I was surprised to find the paratroopers at the end where they were, because I wasn't paying too keen attention on that kind of information from the paratroopers, because I thought they were all in the towns and the cities, and we got the bridges and there was nothing left ahead of me in regards to that, and I was completely prepared to run into Germans up until I found out that there were paratroopers on the other side of the town. So I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, so we got half a brigade through that would have fought on, and I like to think that nice little tank repair workshop near Buclar Corner would have perhaps done something.
Which, by the way, there's another one of those things that fits into what I was talking about earlier. That's not a division commander's job. I mean,
he can at least request it. He can at least request it.
Well, no, I mean, you have a staff officer who's actually responsible for that exact thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, battalions, regiments, brigades, division, they all have their maintenance sections.
Yeah.
And, they set up recovery and repair.
Yeah.
So there's another officer much lower on the pay grade than you, whose job it is to drive out there in a Jeep and find the location for where to set the battalion or division motor pool up. I mean, that's his job. And he goes out there with a sergeant and a couple of privates, and he lays it out and says, okay, this is where it's going to be. And they put it on the map, and that's part of your staff briefing, your entire logistical network all the way back. Of course, one thing we generally don't do in Kriegspiel or in any war game is, full real life
map out where the signal bunker is and everything else. Yeah.
Where the ambulance pools,
exactly.
where's the supply dumps, where's the
there's
motor pool.
Decent enough video on the Armchair Dragoons about that. Brandt goes into a very kind of detailed thing and says, like, you don't want to know where your mash is, or like your signal bunkers and this, that, and the other, because then you just fill the entire board with useless junk.
Well, I mean, because you can't overlap road networks and things like that. You have to, this road has to be clear for this kind of traffic, and that road has to be clear for that kind of traffic. So you got to have different locations for all of those things, and yet they have to be within supporting distance of the units they're supporting. And those things are those are the things that actually determine operations, not it's not tactics. It's not tactics. It's looking at that map and saying, what can we support and where, and
which was why I gave our poor, because we did have a guy in this particular game that his entire job was to sort out the logistics network, and that poor guy had a rough time, because
imagine,
in all trying to supply all these divisions, day in day out. And then you had me, who was just like, I don't want to be anything more than a finger's length away from my supply trucks.
Yeah, you were definitely trying to keep that as close as you could keep it. That's for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, when you're like an armor unit, a
Mm.
high mobile um, combat unit like
Yeah.
that
It was more
is
of a hindrance than a help.
it's more of a hindrance, right?
Yeah.
Because it becomes this elastic band that keeps pulling you back.
Yeah.
You know, when you should be racing
Yeah.
forward, it's holding you back.
But
You know,
yeah, but this is the mind game that the game gave me, and probably gave a lot of other players too, was the fact that I'm running out of supplies very quick. Like, there's no storage on these on these tanks, and in these, there's no jerry cans whatsoever.
hmm
Almost, yeah, and I mean, I was going, yeah, 2 kilometers in 6 hours, and they're telling me that
hmm
I've used up a third of my fuel. Like, you're like, oh my god, like,
which yeah, that's a little crazy. I
yeah,
mean the range, I don't know the range. I don't know what the range on a Sherman was, but you know, just thinking in terms of modern, you
mm.
should be able to go like 300 miles.
Oh yeah,
You know, I mean, well, I mean, it's yeah. Not with an M1, but because an M1
mm.
uses like 5 gallons, 5 gallons. What is it?
Well, it's a big
Oh
old
God,
Rolls Royce engine, isn't it? So yeah, like
it's
5 miles
a
per the
ludic.
gallon.
Yeah, it's yeah, exactly. Well, it's not even per gallon; it's 5 gallons per mile or
Sure.
something like that. You know, it's some ludicrous number. But even then, the combat range is like a couple hundred
Mm.
miles. You know.
Yeah,
And
and and
so,
that's yeah, and like in some of the videos that you saw in the series, like I was like, yeah, we'll make it by Grave if we just keep going, like because I was thinking, oh, we might come across a bunker here and there, but that we'll flick that out of the way. That'll be no problem, and okay, we might run across a company that might give us 15-minute firefight and then piss off somewhere. But yeah, it was very, very stop start, very kind of like, you know, as you've said, a a Napoleonic division would have moved faster.
yeah, that's true.
hmm
And they would have been a Napoleonic division would have been just fine marching down a single road.
And they would, yeah, that's right. But confusions aside of how we started, but no, it was a fantastic game, and
hmm
they did call it in favour of the Allies, but the video is yet to come out. But we'll tack the umpire video on the end of
hmm
this series. But no, thank you very much for joining me in these months of showing you these videos.
That was my pleasure. I enjoyed it tremendously. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun, and it looks like it was a fantastic game. It really
Yeah,
does.
no, it was, and no,
Yeah.
and we'll have to recommend that somewhere in the future someone needs to pick up this this style of getting someone who knows what they're talking about to kind of see the carnage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, we have them. Certainly, we
yeah,
have them in the IKS and that sort of thing. I think it would be interesting to see that kind of enhancement,
mm,
um, especially if you're going to do, you know, after 19th century,
yeah,
post 19th century stuff.
mm-hmm.
Um, I was telling Marshall the other day that I had this strange idea that I'd like to do a Vietnam game.
That'd be nice.
Um,
But
I mean, I've been watching guys on YouTube
let's
the
do
last couple of
Outback.
weeks who've been playing. They've been playing the GMT's Vietnam 1965 to 1975,
Okay.
and it reminded me I had that game 100 years ago whenever.
Mm.
Um, back when I was a kid, and that is the best. That's the best game on Vietnam
Right.
there is.
Okay.
It's a fantastic operational game of the Vietnam War, and you can do the entire Vietnam War on it.
Oh,
But
shit.
it just reminded me of that, and I was thinking, oh man, I'd like to get a copy of that again because that was a great game.
There must be one on
And then
yeah, must be one.
oh, there is,
Yeah.
yeah, there is. You can get it pretty easily, but as I was watching it, and then I started thinking, it'd be interesting would be to do a Creeksfield game,
Yeah.
doing a Vietnam operation, any one of the operations from Vietnam, Master White or
Yeah.
Long Reach, or any of them that would be quite interesting. And then I started thinking about it, and I thought, yeah, if I could, I may just do that. Although I have this problem. I keep coming up with these ideas and then not
Yeah.
being able to actually do the work to do them.
Yeah. They do take time.
They do. There's a lot of effort that goes into it, but I may do it. I think that would be quite interesting. I may do a small one and just to see how it plays out. But I think Vietnam is one of those conflicts that just the whole fog of war thing works beautifully. And,
yeah, definitely, yeah.
And that's one of the nice things about that Vietnam game is the NLF forces, the Viet Cong. Not even the Viet Cong player knows what they are. They you draw them at random,
right?
When you put them out, and they're put out with face down.
Holy shit!
On the map, so not even the guy playing the Vietnamese force, the Viet Cong forces, knows the strengths of
fun.
Those units.
That's really fun.
So when the Americans run into them, you don't know what you're getting.
It's a surprise to everyone. Holy shit!
Yeah, it's a surprise to everyone, and that's such a great game because it becomes one of trying to, against the NVA. They're strong. They got strong units, and you go up against them, and it's a much more conventional fight. But when you go up against the VC units, they operate separately, sort of together, but sort of not. And when you go up against the VC units can alert move. So when you get next to them, they can just simply run away or completely disperse. And they have political sections, which are basically almost like dummy counters because they count for control of something. But if you attack it, it just is eliminated.
Wow,
It just goes away. And then they have their regular units, which are varying strengths. But American units could get up next to a VC unit to attack it, but the VC unit gets its alert move first, and the VC unit just runs away. So you end up attacking nothing.
Yeah.
And if you don't have enough pursuit, if you don't get enough pursuit out of the attack, then you can't even chase him to attack him again, and now your ops are complete for that unit. If you're going to go after that guy again, you have to go after him with somebody else.
I think that's a pretty sound mechanic to how it was.
Oh yeah. It really does. I think it really does show the war quite interesting. I think it's one of the better, probably the best game on the Vietnam War. And if you play the whole campaign, though, the whole grand thing, 1965 to 1975, it's a question of basically political will points. The Americans can up their commitment, which allows them to put more guys on the ground and more assets. But every time they increase their commitment, they lose political points.
Yeah.
And every time they take casualties, they lose political points. And the enemy gets gets points for controlling, regional capitals and provincial capitals and towns and cultivated areas and that sort of thing. And so you have to make all your decisions as the American player. You got to make your decisions based on, I can put a hell of a lot of firepower, a whole lot of people in there, and just smack the enemy around. But the more I put in there, the faster I'm running through my own political points. And,
wow, okay.
and when I reach a certain point, I lose.
Wow.
So it's a question of how much do you commit? How much do you need to commit in order to achieve the objectives? And all these other things. Oh, it's great. There's so many decision points. Anyway, well, I've enjoyed the heck out of this. I really have. Thank you so much for even thinking of me to do it. So,
well, I couldn't think of anyone else better to do it. You see,
there's plenty of people that would be smarter than me, but there are several of them in the IKS.
Yeah, without a doubt,
smarter than me. But,
anyway,
but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, good. Well, we'll have to potentially do one again sometime. But yeah, next one after this will be what should we call it? And Jena and Auerstadt, which you're not even on my team, so we'll no.
That'll be really fun.
Yeah,
you're not playing in the Crete fight they're doing right now, are you?
The what fight?
The invasion of Crete.
No.
Was it Operation Mercury?
Yeah, I'm not in that one. No, I can't do another big one of these for a while.
Justin asked me if I wanted to watch the chaos, so I'm observing and I'm watching it. Tack is, I think, one of the umpires for it, or something,
nice.
Maybe. But and Justin is running it. And anyway, yeah. So I'm just kind of peeking in every once in a while. I see all these messages and everything. Lots of fun stuff going on in that one too. But it reminded me of this of your market garden thing. So
yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna have to love you and leave you, and I'm gonna have to go to bed. And
I imagine.
Hopefully, this one will have recorded right. Otherwise, it's just a complete and utter waste of time. No, that's fine. Nah. But yeah, hopefully it hasn't corrupted itself. I don't know what it is about this recording equipment, but yeah. Anyway, have a nice night, mate, and we'll.
You too.
Yep. Take it easy.
You too, man. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.